Hey guys, this is Andrei, a certified translator and a real estate agent, and the beginning is going to be slightly unusual. Just wanted to start to say from starter that we're between East and West, but I'm still surprised at times how our business people, how our people who are trying to push their thing to undertake something, some kind of enterprise, how oriental they can be at times. I mean, I'm rather straightforward, and many of you who know me may point out that I may be too straightforward at times, but for me, yes is yes and no is no, and something in between is often hampering business. So I wish these guys would be more clear when they say yes or no, or rather never say like, yeah, it's kind of interesting proposal, we'll reply you back. Just say no if it's no. That's it. Otherwise, thank you for watching the videos. It's the last update about things in Belarus, how we are, where we're going. The last is more like a guess. The whole thing is not really a media coverage of any kind. It's just my personal reading of headlines and my vision of how it is here in Belarus and how it is outside Belarus with the eyes of a guy based in Belarus. So just infotainment. Let's get started. As always, at the end of the year, there'll be the dedicated end of the year video with Christmas lights and everything. I would like to thank guys who are supporting the channel, some regular members of the channel, some guys who push that thanks button. I'll show you where it is over here. The channel keeps going because of your feedback down below and because occasional 5-10 euro that you push down there just as much as you can to keep the whole thing rolling. Because obviously I have my main thing, and obviously there is some information on this channel that may help your relocation plans to build this way or the other. So let's get started. Let's see what's happened lately. A traditional remark, travel into Belarus is not banned anyhow. It's not banned for Americans, because I respect American travelers, but they go under all sorts of stereotypes about how travel to Belarus is not possible at the moment. The western areas are available for the visa-free trip. You can Google for those as Grodno or Brest visa-free. The airport-eligible countries are also allowed to come visa-free, but America is not on the list. And down below I'll put the link for top tips for the 2024 travel. You'll see how to get the visa if necessary, how not to get the visa, how to get in here, and how to get around. Things are easing up, more or less. We might say that in a couple of months they'll be much easier or much worse. We'll see which way it's going to turn. And to give you an example, I had a Californian tourist from the USA. We had a 3 days, 2 nights tour, saw some bisons, castles and everything. And the guy who majored in Soviet heritage got pretty great experience, came and left by bus from Vilnius. That's the best way to go, especially if you're a non-EU citizen, because non-EU citizens are not allowed back from here into Poland for some reason through the last year plus. And if you're still researching, you may see, I'll put a link down below, you may see my video Belarus Top 10 for the most popular attractions, places to see, places of interest that you may build into your itinerary. Recently I released my little review on the Frenchman's video Inside Belarus Totalitarian State, blah blah blah, it's a very long name. I would like to thank you for your feedback about how you saw my review on this video, and if you haven't seen both, I'll leave the links as well, just for you to have some more infotainment, because this is really not super useful information out there, but it does show you how good, well-rated channel can present information from here and how distorted it may be out there in the West. A little bit more about travel. Travel from Belarus westwards is a bit of a problem. The backlog of applications may be up to 6 months depending on the embassy, and you may have heard of Schengen visa, which is one visa given for 20 plus countries to be visited, which comes with its own conditions and stereotypes, and it takes a bugger like me 10 pieces of paper, including finger scan, to get the visa made. And now there's so many applicants going that you can only get it done somewhere next March or April. So somebody traveling from here has more difficulties than somebody traveling in here, although it does seem like traveling to Belarus is a challenge, it's difficult. Trust me, it's not. So some people over here decide to give it a shortcut, and they address a travel agency which have pre-booked slots for their tours, and so they get themselves sightseeing and they get themselves visa. Based on their previous visa record with the EU, that visa may be a single use, 3 weeks or 2 weeks specifically for the tour. It could be multiple entry Schengen visa for a year. So if you have any friends like that, I guess by now they know how it works. So that's just to give you a picture of how it works for locals traveling to the West. A quick note of complaint, so to speak, about a friend of mine who is an EU employee but a Belarusian passport holder traveling recently to a conference in Germany. He's a translator. He had Foreign Affairs Department of the EU Commission dropping a note at the Embassy of Germany to expedite his things, to make it less painful. But I would say the bureaucracy was top-end. Local German staff didn't really care about his employment status. They ignored their own EU playbooks. They charged him a fee for the visa, although it was meant to be gratis for employment reasons. It's not just like regular employment, so where is bloody European Commission employment? So I would say that EU bureaucracy is quite overwhelming. I guess you have more stories to tell about this. So the friend guy got his visa a couple of hours after he could potentially depart for Vilnius and catch his flight, so he never got it on time. But the bright thing is he got a multiple visa for a year, multiple entry visa for a year. So maybe that's a compliment to the bureaucracy of the EU. And that's the same friend of mine who was in Belgium when they demolished metro out there. And he was across the bridge rushing downstairs to, try and render first aid to the survivors. And he was himself quite heartbroken because the guy who was behind the blast, there was 2 guys, brothers of some kind, who were given expedited citizenship of Belgium within 3 years, if I got things right. If I'm wrong, please correct me in the comments. So that's about how it works. That's why we never smile. Visa recognition with Russia doesn't work, and there's no indication that it's going to work, so only resident holders here in Belarus can go to the Russian embassy in Minsk or in Brest. In Brest there's less traffic, and apply for a visa to Russia. I was thinking to launch Russian visa services, but I guess for now I'll just put it on hold. Not sure how it's going to work with all the e-visas allowed and everything. Or maybe I'll launch that service later. Right now, the Russians are not doing well. Their economy is especially hard on chicken eggs and chicken meat for some reason. And generally, they have some little issues with the prices climbing and trying to reach their peak by election time in March. And election time in March in Russia is going to trigger some problems here because our economies are tied up. I'll leave it to the black belt analysts to judge on how bad the drop's going to be. But I have a few ideas about how it may affect the real estate market. So again, I believe, which is just my personal point of view, and some real estate analysts say the same, although many of them agree that any predictions are just requiring some coffee mash and tarot cards and maybe candles, maybe a black goat. But here is the general line. Over the last hurdles, over the last, let's say, decade, since 2011 plus, in the times of financial unrest, Belarusians would spend their savings in the best, let's say, way to return their investment, or at least to freeze their investment, freeze their capitals. And the best technique they've had arrived to by far is buying lodge, accommodation. Accommodation in Minsk is an ingredient of a typical Belarusian dream. If we were try to phrase it up and see how it looks, it would definitely include an apartment in Minsk. Not necessarily in the Minsk world. I hope I'll survive and make a little review about that wonderful district. So, point is that March and April are going to bring some devaluation of the home currency, and this may push the savings into the market and to sweep away any credible options, and others, less credible options, will just be put on hold or go off the market until the owners believe the crisis is over, because the properties like Stalin apartments are normally in the market for a while, and when the market is not favorable, they just cheerfully keep them there and wait until the situation is favorable. So if anybody wants to shop now, I think it's best to do it now. So let's see in April if my predictions were any true. A little point to be added here is Belarusians have always been saving in hard currency, mostly US dollar, so most of the prices discussed or voiced in the market are US dollar connected. So that's something to know about the local real estate market, and that's something you have to keep in mind when you see the price tag. And when you see the price tag, the second thing you keep in mind is you have to negotiate. It's important to be on the ground, to talk to people, to have a guy on the ground, a professional like myself, and since not so long ago I am officially a professional of the market, and give the market a good filter if you have some solid money on hand, and see if you would like to make a move or decide to wait. Generally, 2023 in Minsk saw a record number of deals in real estate. Specifically in November, there were about 1,700 deals, and they're still rounding up statistics because the database is not shut down evenly on the 30th of November. And about 35% deals involved bank loans. The bank interest rates are approximately like this. I know it's funny for a Westerner. Центральный Октябрьский Советский districts were the most frequent shopping grounds. Average per square meter price in Uruchia was about $1,480, and in Komarovka, that's Sovietsky district, central Minsk, is $1,545 per square meter. The most expensive flat was 161 meters large in the Sale block, the highest dwelling complex in Minsk, selling for $626,000. Compared to October, offers dropped in numbers by 9%. New Year period will show a natural slowdown in sales, so early January up till middle January, there is going to be a pretty dead season for the real estate. Although our real estate market is not like anywhere else, and there may be all sorts of trends out there. Generally it dies down with people getting their hangover after the celebrations. Again, our main holiday is New Year, not really either Christmas, so that's about when the life stops for a little while. There is a good guy in town. We're shopping for a flat, and he is having pretty basic budget, so we're looking at one-room Khrushchevka flats, basic units from the 1960s. They have their peculiarities. We're looking for properties that have gone through capital improvement, which loses some issues on the way. The general pricing frame is 43 to 49,000 US dollars, depending on how big it is and how central it is. There are some places that go without capital improvement, so if you don't know what this is, you may accidentally buy one of those, but generally it's best if the house has already gone through the replacement of piping, plumbing, electricity, windows and all the stuff. It's now hard to tell what's going to be replaced during the capital improvement, but generally you don't want to have it done if you have a renovated flat that you have just purchased and using for some commercial purpose like renting it out. It's going to lose you money. Generally for $45,000 you may expect a decently located, not necessarily decently renovated one-room flat, slightly something like 30 square meters large, sitting somewhere between 3rd and 5th floor, though there were a couple of first floor options. In contrast to Minsk, in Vitebsk, which is in the north, 270 kilometers north from Minsk, Vitebsk offered some $700 per meter in November. 235 deals, 7% out of the properties purchased there were newly built, so mostly it's second-hand market. So depending on where you're looking at around the regions, the traditions of this or that city and pricing and everything may be completely different, and the logic of Minsk doesn't apply there. If you want to ask or want to see where to shop in your specific case, there is normally a case and a solution, and I'm not selling flats, I'm selling solutions. You can contact me for a paid consultancy. Otherwise, let's continue. Economy section is going to be pretty short. A private company has just conducted a survey asking people how they felt about the current level of welfare, what are their expectations, and about 45% of people said they were doing okay. The richest said they were not doing okay. Some 18% hoped that their prospects would improve, and some 35% were having negative expectations about everything, salary, prices, and stuff like that. Top pessimists in this respect are based in Minsk, and we'll just see in the next months who of them was right. Salaries are a little bit hard to analyze because my social circle is not the widest, and I can only tell on somebody's stories about how it's going, but generally it used to be better before 2020. Ex-IKEA parts factory has just been sold in Borisov, north of Minsk, to some Russian capitalists. It used to make all these things for the IKEA stuff. I guess now it's gonna make them for somebody else's stuff. That's about it. Belarus suggests to up the transit tariffs for the oil, and Kazakhstan doesn't seem to be very happy with this, if I got the figures right. Belarus is suggesting 43% increase of the transit tariffs. So it's going to lose Kazakhstan a few $1 million, but for now they say like something is strange about this offer. Belarus is increasing the number of New York trains. Trains are a bit of a problem. 25th of December here is not as big as 7th of January, which is more of a Russian Christmas, and Russians in general make holiday makers here between January 1st and 10th, when they have holidays, days off, and when they can still make use of their ruble, which is losing its solid nature day by day. I guess it's going to be the last winter when the landlords were like anxiously waiting for the Russian holiday makers to shower them with cash, and that's why if you're coming on Christmas, Russian Orthodox Christmas, the bookings may be really expensive and really unreliable, because your booking can be cancelled. Let's say if it was 3 nights, some Russian guys would offer 7 nights and a higher price tag. They would message you most likely, say they're sorry, but there's a leak in the apartment. The guys who were staying before decided to extend, and you're not going to stay there. That's how it works. But to finish our line with trains, the railway website has eliminated Latin from the search, so you don't really get any translations or station stops anymore. And maybe I've just downloaded that Russian app, which can be helpful at least to search for trains. Obviously, most of you would have to buy a train ticket at the station or have your friend buy it for you. Maybe that application, I'll put the name here, is going to solve the problem. Maybe not. I'll try to put some screenshots and see if that solves the problem. So that's about it, guys. We're still here. We're still cracking on into the new smashing 2024. It was a pleasure to have you all on the channel. Your feedback, your likes, your dislikes. We'll try to follow up on that Indian drama sometime soon and see where the bad guys go and where the good spirited projects move on in 2024. Thanks for watching, thanks for your support. Push that thanks button, that seems to be the only straightforward way to support my channel right now. And any questions about any topics you wish covered, welcome down below. I hope that the new videos are going to be exciting and more informative, let's say, than the current one, full of my suspicions, guesses and everything. Thanks very much, hope to see you in Minsk at some point. Cheers, see you later.